What happens when a Roman emperor trusts the wrong kind of people? Chaos, civil war, murder, and mass killings. Emperor Galba's ascent to the throne promised to halt the empire's early decline and restore its former glory. Yet, as he entrusted his closest allies with power, little did he know the havoc their betrayal would unleash. Follow the gripping saga of Emperor Galba as he navigates treacherous alliances, deceit, and the harrowing consequences of misplaced trust. The fate of an empire hangs in the balance.
The blood of consuls, praetors, and senators coursed through my veins, a heritage bestowed by my father, Gaius Sulpicius Galba, and my mother, Mumia Achaika. My lineage foretold a destiny intertwined with the destiny of Rome. The Galbae were not merely noble. We were the embodiment of Rome's enduring spirit, its triumphs and its trials. As a youth, the tales of my forebears' valor and the ruins of our republic's glory were my tutors. The wisdom of the Senate, the valor of the legions, and the gravitas of command were ingrained in me. I was not merely raised to lead. I was sculpted to command, to govern, and to protect the republic's ideals, even as it waned under the shadows of tyranny. My military service, the crucible of my youth, was marked by distinction and unwavering loyalty to Rome. In Germany, I quelled the tumult of rebellion, my legions steadfast beneath the eagle standard. In Hispania, I governed with a hand both just and firm, ensuring peace and prosperity on the frontier of our world. These were not merely provinces to me. They were testaments to Rome's reach and the resolve of her sons to uphold her dominion. Yet it was in the shadow of the Julian-Claudian dynasty that my destiny was forged. In the twilight of Nero's reign, amidst the turmoil and the tyranny that suffocated Rome, my path became clear. The empire, vast and mighty, teetered on the brink of ruin, corrupted by indulgence and bereft of virtue. I would not stand idly by as Rome faltered. With the legions of Hispania at my back and the Senate's covert support, I cast off the yoke of Nero's despotism. The march on Rome was not merely a military campaign. It was a crusade to restore the dignity of the Roman state, to purge the corruption that had seeped into its core. On the 13th of January, as I entered Rome, not as a conqueror but as a liberator, the Senate proclaimed me emperor. The acclamation was not merely a title, it was a mandate, a command to restore the Republic in spirit, if not in name. As emperor, my reign was to be a beacon of hope, a return to the virtues that had made Rome great. In the annals of history, let it be known that Servius Sulpicius Galba rose not for power, but for Rome. My ascent was not the ambition of one man, but the resurrection of the Republic's ideals. Though my reign would be challenged, my resolve unwavering, and my commitment to Rome's eternal glory indomitable. This is my testament, a narrative of noble heritage, military service, and a life devoted to the greatest empire the world has ever known. Upon taking the purple, I realized that the treasury, a victim of Nero's extravagance, was in ruins. It was upon this bleak inheritance that I was resolved to impose the stern but necessary discipline of austerity. My approach was unequivocal. Expenditures were to be curtailed, and the empire's finances were to be consolidated. The era of frivolous spendthrift was over, and in its place, an era of prudence and sobriety was to be ushered. However, the path of rectitude is often strewn with resistance. My refusal to dispense the customary donatives to the Praetorian Guard, a practice deeply ingrained in the fabric of our political customs, was met with palpable discontent. This was not a decision born out of parsimony, but a principled stance against the corrosive tradition of buying loyalty. True allegiance, I believed, should be rooted in respect for the rule of law and the betterment of the empire, not in the transient allure of gold. The populace, too, recoiled at the stringent measures. They, who had been seduced by the lavish spectacles and handouts of previous rulers, found my regime's frugality a bitter potion. Yet, amidst the swirling currents of dissatisfaction, my resolve remained unshaken, for the salvation of Rome was my paramount concern, not the fleeting approval of the masses. I wanted to rebuild an empire at the image of Emperor Augustus, but I knew I was not eternal. Death would soon knock at my doors, so I chose a successor to my reign, Lucius Calpurnius Piso, a fatal mistake. Piso, a paragon of virtue and sobriety, was chosen not merely for his noble lineage, but for his embodiment of the values I held dear. This act, however, was construed by some as an affront, a challenge to the ambitions of others who saw themselves as rightful heirs to the throne. My reign, though noble in intention, was beset by the shadows of discontent and the murmurs of dissent from the very onset. Amidst the clamor for change and reform, I sought to restore the dignity of the Roman state, tarnished by the excesses of my predecessor. My resolve to govern with justice and austerity was unwavering, yet it was this very sternness that kindled the flames of disloyalty among those who thrived under the indulgence of former days. General Otho, commander of the armies of Lusitania, a figure once cloaked in the guise of loyalty and friendship, emerged as the architect of my downfall. His disloyalty was not born of mere ambition, but was a chalice poisoned by his own grievances and thwarted desires. I had denied him the consulate and the hand of Emperor Nero's widow Poppaea, decisions that, though made in the best interest of the empire, sowed the seeds of his betrayal. General Otho had been a pillar to my acclamation as emperor. The loss of his support was grave. His resentment festered in silence, his veneer of fidelity masking a heart intent on usurpation. The loyalty of the Praetorian Guard, once the bulwark of the emperor's safety, became the instrument of my demise. Otho, with cunning and gold, swayed their allegiance away from the state and towards his own treacherous ambition. The very hands that should have defended the empire were turned against it, a testament to the power of greed and the fragility of loyalty. In the cold dawn of January, as I moved to quell the unrest and secure the loyalty of the legions, fate, it seems, had already cast its die. The streets of Rome, which had once echoed with the triumphs of my ancestors, now whispered my doom. The Praetorian Guard, seduced by Otho's promises, declared him emperor, a proclamation that was both a death knell to my reign and a stark reminder of the transient nature of power. As I stood before my killers, my voice, once commanding and noble, sought to rekindle the flames of loyalty and duty. But the hearts of men are fickle, and the allure of power and gold often dims the light of honor and fidelity. My end was not just the fall of a man, but the crumbling of the ideals I sought to uphold. In reflection, my downfall was not merely the product of Otho's disloyalty, but a mosaic of the complex interplay of human desires, the unyielding nature of my governance, and the eternal quest for power that defines Roman history. As the curtain falls on my reign, let it be known that I, Galba, sought to rule with a hand both firm and just, only to be undone by the shadows of betrayal and the specters of ambition that haunt the corridors of power. Thus, my story is not one of personal lament, but a solemn reminder to those who would follow, that the throne of Rome is a throne of swords, and he who seeks to rule must do so with both wisdom and caution. For the loyalty of men is a tide that ebbs and flows with the fortunes of time.
Thanks for watching our first episode of our riveting series that will cover the lives of every single Roman emperor. In our inaugural episode, you glimpsed the meteoric rise of the treacherous General Otho, but as the ancient adage goes, appearances can be deceiving. Behind the enigmatic facade of Otho's reign, there is an untold saga of profound sacrifice and heroism. Watch our next video as we unveil the astonishing tale of a leader who gave his own life to shield the innocent children of Rome from the horrors of civil strife.